Madison Reedy from Jarden, and I'm going to take you through the supply chain saga and the developing solutions to it. Jarden's economic view is that the pressure will ease eventually, but our analysts are watching globalisation unwind with it. The pandemic caused consumer complications. Populations have been locked down at home with government subsidies to spend, meaning demand for goods surged. Jarden's economist John Carran says the cause of the supply chain saga was a perfect storm that's led to whole economies buckling under pressure.
Supply chains are absolutely critical to the world economy. It's how goods are delivered from the factories to the consumers. And if they're not operating properly, then there's a serious problem there. So they all add up to a pretty hefty rise in costs for businesses. The bad news is, in recent months, they haven't improved much further. So although they're off the real extreme peaks that we've seen, they're just sort of going sideways at the moment.
COVID outbreaks and restrictions forced factories to close and ports to shut down. Container ships with consumer goods on board formed queues of chaos, stuck at sea waiting days to dock. Supply chain stress skyrocketed to a peak in October. It's now showing signs of easing, but freight costs remain elevated. So how is that affecting the cost of living? Here's Jarden's Head of Research in Australia, Ben Gilbert.
So if you look through last year and the year before, the step change and the ongoing increases in freight rates, it was significant. It was astronomical in some instances. The supply chain issues have had a pretty material impact on everyone. We're seeing it coming through in our grocery bills at the moment. You're seeing if you're buying a TV, it's causing delays in product as well. Look across electronics at the moment, you're seeing 6, 7, 8% price increases. Look across food, you're seeing some categories up 20, 30, 40%. You look across apparel, there's price increases coming. It's everywhere.
Retailers are eager for a post-COVID recovery as economies start to reopen. But higher freight costs and supply shortages may make that a tougher task. So what's the solution? And how will goods remain available at relative prices? Jarden is witnessing companies rethinking how to be reliable. Many are setting up their own supply chains and buying safety stock.
People will start building more of a buffer. They'll build up higher stock so they can manage to supply that demand if those supply chains are affected in any way.
So we're hearing from people out there in the industry that might be having to place orders 2, 3, 4 months earlier than they typically would. So placing orders for, say, Christmas decorations or Christmas stock in January, when typically you might do it in April. You look globally, you're seeing companies like Google now are investing in logistics and last mile technology. You're seeing the likes of Amazon's moving further through the supply chain. You look at Woolworths, you look at Coles, you look at Wesfarmers, they're all investing hundreds of millions of dollars in supply chain at the moment.
Companies' moves to shorten their supply chains and reduce their reliance on the rest of the world could unwind decades' worth of globalisation. For more on this, I'm joined by Jarden's global equity analyst, Jeremy Ward. Jeremy, has globalisation hit its peak?
Thanks, Madison. Yes, we think so. We're seeing post the pandemic, a lot of manufacturers reshoring and diversifying the supplier base as disruption to manufacturing really affected some profits.
What industries are driving that shift?
Primarily chip manufacturing and auto production. They were obviously very affected throughout the pandemic, and that really affected some of their production levels and profitability. They have moved from a just-in-time production schedule, so the parts arrive literally just before the manufacture of the vehicles, for example. That enabled them to hold very low inventory levels, but they're looking to obviously hold a lot more just in case.
Did that obsession with efficiency catch them out come COVID?
Yes, it did. They'd been driving to try and get costs down as much as possible. It definitely caught them out. We saw huge changes in share prices as a result of curtailed production numbers.
Thanks, Jeremy. It's Jarden's view that global supply chain pressure will ease further this year, but its flow-on effects may linger longer for consumers, companies and countries. Stay tuned for more expert commentary on what's happening in the global economy in our next Jarden Insights.